there. I'm sure you know, like when you reply to each one, it kind of it gets very time consuming and overwhelming. So for me, when it comes to negative stuff, blocked. Like I don't even waste time.
He's our new PA assistant.
All right, here we go. I love it.
That's how you turn it on. So you know from yours.
The giant record button.
It's the giant record button.
That's
That's green. And that's how you know it's recording. What's up, guys? Except that I don't normally do that intro. That's by Rebecca.
Well, we're never ever like straight on with the video.
Where do I look? I don't even look at the
just
camera.
try to focus this way.
Right this way. I got you.
This is so weird. So normally we have a different setup. Obviously we have the table. We'll have 2 chairs. We had Nick one time at the end or at the head, whatever you want to call it. Joseph didn't like it. So
not when we have a guest, we want to make sure we highlight the guest and not just the sign. That's what happened with Nick last time.
So now we have Ian off to the side, and you may or may not know him, but you most likely know him. Ian Brownhill. Hey.
Hi.
And he's my friend, and he's coming to visit us today. So one of the topics that we wanted to talk about today was...
I know, this is so
I know,
weird.
this is so weird. I don't think I'll get used to this. So this kind of pertains to social media. Like, I know that you do a lot of like interview stuff. I don't want to interview you. I want you to chime in on like a debate that we would have already had.
You heard that, right?
Yeah, I heard that. A car, right?
Motorcycle.
Great. The mic picked it up, which is crazy.
I know. It usually doesn't. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So the topic for today is blocking on social media.
Okay.
And like, is it immature? Is it mature? Have you ever done it? Would you ever do it? That sort of deal. And then we'll kind of like spiral into like other things. And the thing that we just started doing more recently with other people is at the very end, we'll do like a fast 5. So you'll tell us if you either love that for you or hate that for yourself. Perfect. And then that's kind of it. It's kind of like do you like this or this? So you can tell us whether you would love that for yourself or hate that for yourself. And this is a new thing. So
this is new. We're like new in the guest game. So you're like
I'll be the trial run for everything.
Right.
Poor Ian though. Ian literally was like, when we first started this podcast, he was like, if you ever want to have a guest, let me know. And I'm like, we do. We just don't know how to work it. Like we don't know what we're doing.
So I actually just realized when this one airs, this is our 52nd episode, which is a full year.
year.
So this is our full
Probably
year.
one
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Look
full
at
year
that.
episode.
Probably
50
one full
seconds,
year
that's
since
great.
Ian asked us, to be honest.
Yeah, it was April
I think
10th.
it begged would be the word I'd go with. I was pleading with you, like, please have me on. But that's,
I'm
besides
like,
the point.
we don't even know how to do. At the
I know,
time,
we
we
don't.
actually didn't even have that. So we had our old one.
I know. I just looked at the footage, like the thumbnail from our original episode. It looks so bad.
Really? You think
The
so?
quality looks so bad. Yeah. Well, we added new lights and stuff. We're trying to add new angles and
Well, hey, it's been a year. You guys worked hard. And now you're getting all the nice new
upgrading.
fancy stuff.
Yeah.
we're upgrading.
You're earning
now.
it.
Ian and I, of course, have our donkeys.
Always.
I had mine earlier.
To give a little intro to Ian, do you want to give it yourself or do you want me to give it?
I'm so curious what you have to say.
So Ian's from the lovely state of Rhode Island. But besides that, he's an actor. He's such a kind person. He's hilarious. He makes insanely funny TikToks, which are also Instagram Reels. Millions of subscribers or millions of followers on TikTok, hundreds of thousands on Instagram now. And I'm really honored that you wanted to be a part of this today.
Oh, that was great. I love that. We'll
Of
just
course.
clip it. That'll be the end. Thank you very much.
You're like, I'm going to keep this forever.
That's the whole episode.
The end.
We're just showering Ian with compliments.
This is great. I will show up every episode if this is what continues to happen.
Anytime you need a little boost, just let us know.
I'm going to play this clip back. Right.
We'll be your cheerleaders. No worries. So Instagram blocking. Have you ever done it?
Like wildfire. It's
Really?
Yeah, rapid fire. I just don't have time for like the negativity. And I think like for me, like personally, I often get like an abundance of like backhanded compliments.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And like for me, I just find that it's really hard for me to understand that. Like if I don't know you on a personal level, like if a friend came up and was like, those are nice shoes, man, but that's not really your style. I'm like, so are they nice or are they not? Like I can have that conversation, but like when a stranger says something, they're like, your accent's super annoying, but that was funny. I'm like,
Okay.
what am I supposed to do with this information?
Right,
I'm like,
right.
you know what? I don't have time for that because if they do it once, they'll probably do it again.
Fair.
Sure.
And, you know, it matters to me to like interact with like my followers and people who support me. And of course I spend more time like looking at comments than I do replying, because it is quite daunting to sit.
This episode is sponsored by our friends over at Be a Nice Human.
We don't agree on much on this podcast, but one thing we do agree on is our love for the Be a Nice Human brand.
Their streetwear includes hoodies, beanies, t-shirts, socks, and more to choose from with the simple phrase, Be a Nice Human.
Head over to beanicehuman.me and use the promo code HATETHAT. That's H, the number 8, THAT for 10% off your order.
And remember, you can still be a badass and be a nice human.
There, I'm sure you know, like when you reply to each one, it kind of it gets very time consuming and overwhelming. So for me, when it comes to negative stuff, blocked. Like I don't even waste time.
So do you only block those kinds of people, or have you ever blocked like an old friend of yours? I definitely have blocked an old friend.
I can imagine
Rightfully
that
so.
you probably blocked a ton of people.
Not a ton, but I have like truthfully, I don't think I have many on my block list right now because I think people have just blocked me at this point. But like I had blocked a few people before. I used to like even hide my stories from my mom because I just didn't want her to see certain things that I was doing.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't block her. I would just hide my stories from her.
That's fair. But there was a time where Instagram, and they've gotten better with this, but Instagram had a bunch of like bot accounts, like the porn. Remember the porn accounts like would come up all the time?
Not me. No. That was just you.
Remember Ian?
Don't listen, Mom.
Remember?
Cookie cutter.
There was
Cut
all, like,
that one out.
Bot accounts that would go up in your
Yeah.
stories and whatnot. They've gotten better with that. Those are like the only ones I think I've blocked. Like personally, I don't think I've blocked anybody that I know.
I actually have a tab if you go into like your insight, and I just recently noticed this like a couple of days ago, where like if you go into like your followers list, it shows you the potential people who are bots or spam accounts. So it told me like it said I had like some odd like 1,000 like spam accounts or bot accounts following me.
Really?
So I was like, oh, that's weird.
That's a ton.
Yeah. It's cool that they noticed it. But some of the people on there, I was like, I don't think so. But I mean, whatever.
Well, you
what am I
blocked
gonna
anyway.
do? Yeah. Blocked. Don't matter.
They're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them.
Instagram used to like purge them at one point too. Like I remember one time, like they were like, you will experience a mass drop in followers. And I think I lost like 1,000 or maybe like a couple, I don't know, like 700 or so. And it was because of those like bot accounts, just like one by one, them nicking it off.
Right.
I just don't like looking at you right now. I don't. Not
You
to,
keep
like, hate
looking
on
at me.
you.
What do you do? I'm sitting here.
I don't know. I don't like this.
I know it's awkward, but like we need to highlight the guests. It is what it is. Too.
I'm just gonna
Either that
turn-
or
You
we're
guys do
putting
your
them
thing.
right
I got
by
my
the
own
side.
camera here, so I'm
I'm
all
just
about
gonna
it.
turn towards Ian because I really just don't want to make eye contact with you.
Do you hear this shit? This is what I deal with you. Stop looking at me.
Because normally it's like in a distance, so I can just kind of like look at you, look at the camera.
You do
but
like the
I'm literally-
look at like right here.
yeah.
Like
Like
down
I
here.
feel like I'm just like looking into your soul this
Yeah,
way.
stop.
I
It's
don't-
creeping me out. You're
I
creeping
don't-
Ian out. He's
I
gonna
was gonna
leave.
say, it's the same like when you're acting. That's what you do. Like you just pick a spot on their head that's incredibly close to their eyes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell the difference, and then it helps you from
There you
not
go.
feeling overwhelmed.
I,
Like
I just saw your eyes go like up in a circle like that.
I'm looking at your forehead instead.
Please don't. It's oily, probably. Have either of you ever blocked family members from seeing your stuff?
yeah, for sure.
Like actual block? No.
Not actual block, more like muted.
Hide. Oh.
Yeah, more like muted.
See, I haven't used the muted function. You have. You definitely have muted me at some
Muted
point.
you from seeing my stuff?
Potentially.
I may have only done that with people like from work. Like there's like a fine line there.
Yeah.
I don't like that in the social media interaction with people from work. I think is weirder than the family thing.
Right.
That's a big thing for me because like my coworkers all follow me. So like I have to be very careful about like what I post at certain times of the day. Like if I'm doing something, if I'm like straying away to just go get a Dunkin' real quick, like I have to make sure like Camilla, you gotta clock out for like a quick second because you have people
Who are
like your
watching and
manager
they're
who
gonna judge
follow
and
you.
Yeah.
So like that's probably the best time that I use. I think I use the hide the story functionality more often than I do like
Yeah,
the
that's probably more
blocking.
like what I do. Is like more like the stories and less of like my actual posts or anything like that.
Would you like if someone has ever blocked you? Would you ever take offense to that?
I mean, I feel like I wouldn't know unless it was like a close friend and I went to their page.
I always
and I mean,
find
I
out.
have like I have had experiences with like friends who I had falling outs
Yeah.
with, and yeah, I mean, it didn't go well. I mean, we don't really talk anymore, and it was, you know, it's complicated because there's always two sides to a story.
Yeah.
There's always people who are in certain places mentally and physically versus the other person. You don't necessarily understand their actions. You try not to take it personal, but you're human. So I think what I kind of came to the conclusion on was like, my feelings are hurt, but I'm not going to like value that as to what we had as a friendship and where it could, you know, be rekindled in the future.
This
But
is
like,
emotional maturity that I don't have.
Yeah.
Because I literally, like, I had an ex-friend of mine that you know, block me. And I, like, all I could think about in my head was, like, they're just like, I'm going to do this so it hurts her. And, like,
to me, it says more about the person that did the blocking in that scenario. It was like you had like a falling out. I guess you could unfollow. There's like an unfollow and then there's block, right? So you can't see if you unfollow. Can you still see posts or no?
No. So if you force the other person to unfollow you, you can't see their posts anymore. Like, it wouldn't show up on your feed, but they could look, like, you could look them up and you could still see their stuff.
Okay. That to me that's petty. That's like that's like middle school level petty to unfollow somebody or block somebody on that.
So you would consider that immature?
On their end, yeah.
Would you consider it immature?
I don't know, because I think and here's the thing. I wanted to be a cop when I was younger. So that was like my big thing. So like,
really?
So like I tried school many times. Kids stay in school. I tried many times, and I don't want to say it was a failure, but I was just not a great student. And I went to school to become a police officer for like criminal justice.
Yeah.
And so like it really gets drilled into you is like understanding that there's like always two sides to a story. And as I've just kind of gotten older, I've realized that like the more patient you are, the more the story can unfold.
Yeah.
The more you can understand. So like, yes, my initial emotional reaction is to be like, fuck you. You got to be shitting me. You're the one that's in the wrong here. This isn't a me thing. But then like time kind of exposes itself to you with more of the emotions that are involved with both parties. And you're kind of like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. I don't agree with it. I don't like it, but I can see why for you decided to do something like this.
I want to get to that point in my life because I just cry. Like, my first initial reaction is I cry.
Well, because
But again, that's initial reaction. And I'm saying like my initial reaction is definitely that. I've tried because I've made many mistakes along the ways by reacting too emotionally. And now that I've gotten older, I've realized, okay, the emotions are fine. Just don't react with the emotions in action. Like blocking, like yelling, like sending the long text that isn't necessarily what you entirely mean. And then it's backed with like a bunch of things you never said before, which really tarnishes your ability to maybe be friends in the future. So
I think that's something that like I set for a goal for myself like this year and like kind of last year too. And I think I've been working on it. Can you concur to that?
I would say that like the way to do it is if you had a falling out with somebody and you don't want to see their stuff, I think you can just mute their posts. So so like you don't unfollow them. You just mute their posts. Like if you don't want to see what's going on, but you don't want to be that petty to be like, oh, I unfollowed or I blocked. That would be the way to do it.
I feel like I either see people blocking because of one, social media reasons where they say things that you don't want to see, whatever else.
Right.
The second thing is like falling outs. But the third thing, a lot of times, is like politics. Like people post a lot about politics and people sometimes don't want to see it.
Yeah.
So like that's where the blocking comes into play because I feel like Facebook has turned more into like the journal entry, the diary. Like my mom uses it to like kind of.
It's the mom social media. It really is. 100%. It's the mom social media.
So like I feel like if people wanted to talk politics, that's probably the place that they most likely do it. But a lot of people tend to do it on Instagram. So I know a few people who have like blocked because they just simply don't want to see politics.
That I get that too. That's why I jumped off of Facebook. I jumped off in 2020. It was COVID. I know I'm bad with that, but like Facebook it was 2020, so it was COVID. Yep. It was the George Floyd stuff, and then it was election year. Right. I was like, everybody was a doctor, politician, sociologist. I go, I can't do this anymore. I had to jump off.
You really haven't been like even on Instagram. I think more.
I'm terrible with that.
Recently,
I'm terrible with that.
It's a good thing I run the social media now.
You have to, because we had that conversation because I don't like being on it.
I know.
I just genuinely don't like being on it.
I've been trying to like schedule posts out for us, and it's like the schedule post that Instagram has literally just like doesn't work well, or like it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I've never used it before.
It like shadow bans the video or like doesn't push it out. Don't ever use it. It's literally awful.
Which we just had that problem with YouTube. We schedule out shorts,
Okay.
and they were doing pretty well. And now we got it cut by like 75%, but it's been across the board.
Yeah, there's been there's just been an issue with social media as a whole, and I think a lot of people are experiencing it. And like, you know, the thing is you don't know if you can necessarily believe what like people who say like, this is my field, this is what I'm an expert in, because it's like, it's an AI, it's an algorithm. You're not really ever going to know it or predict it. But, you know, there was like the small hack that occurred with Instagram and Facebook the other day. And now myself and a lot of people I know, all of their views are about 50% what they typically are.
On
Instagram.
On Instagram.
On
like
and
Reels?
Facebook. On Reels, yeah.
Okay.
So like mine right now, like the video I posted yesterday is one that would typically perform pretty well. And I see about a 60, 70% on like my engagement from my followers alone, which is pretty good.
That's really
but
high.
like, you know, I have like 185,000 on Instagram.
Yeah, own that.
And and like, you know, so like for me, like somewhere between like 80,000 to 100,000 views and around 2,500 to 5,000 likes is usually where I fall.
Yeah. Right.
But like my last 3 videos have done like 20,000,
Wait, really?
30,000. Yeah. And you know, like, look, not everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you're just like making content to make it. Sometimes you have like a gem of a video and it doesn't perform well. But like the one that I did yesterday was like pretty on brand. I believe that it was sketch comedy funny. I believe that it wasn't, I mean, it was pretty long, but long story short, that was one that I expected to actually perform at my typical numbers. And it's just not there.
Now, are you seeing like a delay where, I mean, we've seen this with the shorts too, where they used to do really well in the first like hour, 2 hours, and then now they don't, but later on they pick up again. So
Right.
I don't know if...
Again, that's the change in the algorithm. And TikTok is the same way. Like it used to, like a year and a half, like 2 years ago, like I used to judge my video if I hit 10,000 views within the first 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh, wow.
Because that's usually what it would do. I'm like, okay, if it was at 10,000 by an hour, this one will perform well. If it was at 15 to 20, there's a chance of going viral. Anything above that, I knew I was in the money. Like, you know, like I knew it was going to be good. But now...
It's
I mean, I've got
changing.
1.3 million followers, and I'm hardly breaking 20 to 30,000 views right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one. Like,
it's
you know,
across the
it's all over the place. I mean, I saw someone post that like Kylie Jenner averages like 3 million, 4 million views per video, and right now she like her last 3 videos haven't even broken 1 million.
Really?
So, but you know, again, Congress, they're trying to ban stuff. TikTok was down not too long ago. It's like,
Yeah.
So who really knows?
They
But
keep saying that it's going to pass, that like TikTok's going to be gone, like whatever's going on with Congress.
They had it one, like, I think they're doing
They
it by
did this, like, a few years ago,
state
too.
by state thing. Like Montana was one of those states that banned TikTok if you were under a certain age or whatever. I don't know how they regulate that though.
I don't disagree with age limits.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, because it's terrible. Like I'm 32 and I've got pretty good mental control, and like for the
Imagine
most part,
being,
I
like,
suffer
16.
being a consumer on there sometimes.
Right,
So
right. It happens with everybody, even like my parents.
right.
Literally same.
happens.
My dad like hates on social media and says that it's like useless and whatever, but like all of a sudden I'll FaceTime my mom at like super late at night and I can just hear my dad like scrolling through trends that like I'm aware of on TikTok. So I feel like everyone's kind of part of the quote unquote like problem of just like mindless scrolling and
Yeah.
ending up like, especially like with kids. My cousins were so small when they were on like Musical.ly, which was the before of TikTok, and they were on Vine, and like Vine was
great,
more
though.
That was the goat, man.
Vine was more innocent, but like TikTok truly turned into like you can have really great stuff, but then you could fall down like a really dark path.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was addicting. I deleted it, brought it back, and then deleted it like last July. And it's been gone ever since. Because I know if I start scrolling, even on Instagram, if I go to explore and I start scrolling, if I catch myself doing it, I'm like, all right, well, I need a break.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take like a month off.
It's funny because Nick wanted to like delete it too, so he ended up deleting it. But then he had YouTube Shorts, and then he would mindlessly scroll on YouTube Shorts. I'm like, they're literally just
The same thing,
repurposed
yeah.
TikToks onto YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels, and I think that's it. You said it actually. Twitter is a big thing now. Or
Well,
X.
X is doing pretty well just because of like, you know, I don't know, logistically speaking, I don't know the actual business aspect of it, but I've just seen a lot of people posting that there's an actual successful monetization going on for people to make money making videos and posting them on X versus other places. You know, like TikTok's is, the beta program is like,
Not great.
Yeah.
Instagram's was great when it launched, but then all of a sudden it stopped. so happened to coincide with the fact that that's when the trials began
Yeah.
for TikTok to get shut down. So I'm thinking they took the monetization money and shoved it into the political pockets, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe we cut that out so I don't get in trouble.
But that happened with YouTube back in the day, that adpocalypse, and people were making like 25% of what they used to make.
Right.
You used to be able to make like pretty decent money if you were part of the partner program.
Right.
And they just slashed it overnight.
Right.
Since X became X and not Twitter, I don't think I've even gone on the app. Not once.
It's an absolute cesspool.
Is it?
So like you just go on, post your stuff and get off, because like if you want to go down like a rabbit hole, because
I don't want to go.
there's I
like
think
Reddit.
now I'm not gonna like, I want to be very clear that I'm not taking a side politically or with anyone at any point. Now
Deal.
Clip
I
that,
do
clip that.
yes. I just want to make it clear, but you know, the fact that part of the approach to X has become freedom,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everything is on there.
Fair.
And it's no holds bar. So it's like, okay, there's a pro and con of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And the con is you're seeing things that you shouldn't be seeing.
Fair.
You're seeing private videos that people should not be viewing, should not be sharing. You're seeing demonstrative stuff that's quite sadistic and gross and like grotesque. And you're like,
What?
how am I watching this on my phone?
It's like the new age rotten.com. Remember rotten.com?
No.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Steak and cheese.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Oh, you're too young.
I guess I'm the
Dude,
baby over
the
here.
internet used to be like the Wild West back in the day.
Right,
To
'cause
me,
there
I
was
think
no
of
control.
Tumblr.
None.
Like Tumblr, you could go down like a thread of just some really like
Yeah.
all sorts of crazy stuff, but I don't know what that one is.
So you've never seen Two Girls, One Cup?
Oh, I have. But that was a Tumblr
I'll
thing.
pull it up right now.
Hold on, I think I have it saved in my favorites.
That was like the Wild West. But I didn't realize that on X is it more video driven, because I always see like people
You know, like
doing text.
a lot of the reason why I jumped on there was because I think it's important to be on pretty much every platform if this is what you're going to do for a living. But also I saw a TikTok that talked about Mr. Beast, the famous YouTube guy.
Yeah.
I don't watch him. I don't really know his stitch. All I know is that he posted a video that did like 5 million views in like an hour, and he made like $250,000 on X off of it because of the engagement. And he came out, I believe someone said, and clarified, like, look, you guys have to understand, because of who I am, immediately all the advertisers put their money behind my video. So like basically like, let's say Duncan saw that Mr. Beast posted, so they said, we'll pay him $10,000, $20,000 to put our ad 30 seconds into the video, or to make sure that like when you're swiping, our ad shows up immediately after his video.
Right.
And that's really where that money came from. But I've seen a lot of people talking about, like, you know, as far as I'm concerned, if you're posting, let's say you post 8 to 10 videos in a month, if you make $1,000 off of that, I mean, is it great? No, but I mean, that's still pretty good considering if you're using all the differerent platforms. It's like, I mean, think about it. I mean, some people aren't making $1,000, you know, in a month themselves, working 40 hours. So if you're making 1 to 10 videos a month and you can monetize that, I think that's great.
Sure.
I wonder if you could repurpose like what you already do
Always.
onto those platforms.
Always repurpose the stuff that you do.
So like at that point, if you're already putting in the work for TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, then like you'd be silly to not just post it on that one more platform. I truthfully thought that X died. Like it was dead when it switched over to X, because everyone was losing their minds about how ridiculous it was, and like how it was like quote unquote stupid, and they should have just kept it as Twitter, and then you had to pay in order to do, I don't remember, to be like verified on Twitter or whatever. Like so like people were just like so fed up, and then the next thing I know, I hear from you, I'm like, wait, this is not dead, like this is not a dying breed right now.
I think actually, and again, I could be very, very wrong in this, but I just see threads and polls of people who are Twitter, I think, is actually one of the most successful apps right now for social media. I don't know if that's true. Again, you know how it is. Like you see like little ads, like little like stories, and you're like, oh shit, okay, cool. And you don't know if it's true or not. But but I think really what happened, which is very sad, like all social media things, one side of a party, whether political or beliefs, went to Threads, the other side stayed on X, and now you've got two platforms doing the same exact thing.
Per usual.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's like,
what's
is it YouTube? What's the YouTube version of like, there's like another one. Like if you're getting banned off of YouTube, there's another site that people are using.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a YouTube guy, especially because like even with like shorts, like my videos are too long for shorts.
Dude.
So I can't really like
break it up.
Yeah, but like it doesn't make sense because like I rant
for
1.5 minutes to 3 minutes at a time.
Fair.
So like if I can only post 60 seconds, it's like, how likely is it that I'm going to get people to watch 3 clips of the same video? That's
so
kind
that
of
would
annoying.
be something where you'd have to intentionally make content for
Right.
YouTube
Yeah.
Shorts, and then that's like you can't really repurpose. I mean, you could, but
Right. And I think that the only thing for me is it's like, okay, 1 video, 5 platforms. I don't really want to have to go out of my way to appease the other one. And also, I think what I do as my, like, as much as it's kind of a niche, I don't know that YouTube is going to be super successful for me. But that's also because I'm just being lazy.
however, though, I mean, you're going to be posting on there, right?
Right.
With the new...
Yeah, with my podcast and all that stuff. But it's going to be more long form. So if I get short clips out of that, that's probably how I'll do it. And hopefully it'll mean something. So we'll see.
Right.
Speaking of the podcast,
yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing what it's going to be about?
Yeah, sure.
So we can like...
Yeah, so it's going to be called So New England.
Love it.
So,
I thought it might be Life's Better.
Yeah.
That was like my
I'm
guess.
trying to separate
like,
the brands because I'm trying to get Dave Portnoy to buy this from me and sell it on Barstool. So shout out Dave Portnoy, Boston guy. So New England is going to basically be a podcast that is only emphasizing and focus on New England-based things, whether that's people, companies, communities, and I want to have people who are like staples of the area, whether that's influencers, whether that's restaurant owners, or, you know, if the owner of Dell's wants to come in and talk about how Dell started, and Dave from Iggy's come in and talk, and you know, if I can get one of the main lobster fishermen who are super famous on TikTok for what they do to come down and talk about it, like I just want it to be like New England focused, so that New England people can buzz in and kind of give a listen to what's going on like in the area and the people and their stories. I think that's really cool to try and highlight that.
I love that. Would you ever take like live phone calls? You could set up like a Google phone number and people just like call in and they're like, "Hey, Ian." Like I could just picture everyone with their like Rhode Island accents, either complaining about like the bridge or like what they had for food that day or like just food for thought. All I could think about is there's
It always comes back to food with you, doesn't it?
Well, always and forever. But there's a guy, the reason why I say that is because there's a guy who started doing that, and he was also streaming on Twitch at the same time as he was like doing it, and his name was like something Lyle, but Gecko. He was green, like he literally would be in a gecko costume.
Oh yeah. I've seen this,
and he was painted green.
Yeah,
and I was following him when he had like literally nobody. And this kid had a Rhode Island phone number. So I thought he was from Rhode Island. I reached out and he was like, "No, I use a Google phone number. Like I'm from South Carolina." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But he's completely blown up through people just calling in. And like people love that in short form content of putting it on like TikTok and everything else. But he like blew up out of nowhere, and this kid,
it happens fast, and it can happen for everyone.
Money. Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
That's why you just got to keep sticking with it because it'll happen at some point.
Food for thought. How often do you think you're going to be posting? We were just talking about this kind of stuff because literally Ian was looking at our setup, and Joe's going to be helping him with everything because I don't even know. I'm literally just
I
here.
will talk her ear off about stuff like on FaceTime or in person. She's like, yeah, cool. Yeah. I don't care.
I'm just here. Yeah. That's like
I just need like a soundboard, so I just have to say it to you, just so I'm saying it out.
Off.
Right. You don't have to say anything. You just okay.
I just acknowledge it. Is really what it comes out to. So, do you have any idea of like how often you want? Is it going to be like a monthly? Do you think you'll do weekly?
I think I'm gonna try and like take it slow. I think again not again, but for me the double-edged sword is that like I'm a control freak. So I want to be in control of all aspects. Like that's why I told you, like I bought 2 cameras to like run it myself. And and it's not because I don't believe, I'm an artist, so I want to support fellow artists. Problem is I don't want to be on the timetable or the editing skills of someone. And I don't want to be disrespecting them by being like, I don't like this edit. Can you change it that way? Because that's really tough and disheartening to hear. So I'm biting off probably a little bit more than I can chew and I'm available for, but I'm willing to put in that work for it to be successful. But with that comes the fact that I don't know what my availability is going to look like. I also need to, depending on who I'm going to be having on for guests, there might be a time where I'm pumping out a few a month. There might be a time where it's dry. I mean, hopefully my hopes are once a week at least, but maybe once every other week might be good too. If I can get, but I think if I want to, for me with my successes is every time I have found any luck, it's been by hitting the ground running hard. So pumping out content like crazy. So
originally we were going to do every other week, and then Skylar, she was like part of the team. She was like,
Skylar Batz.
Skylar Batz. she was.
Do I
like,
know Skylar? Have I met her?
You would
He
not.
wasn't at the
have met her.
networking thing, right?
No. No, I don't think you would have met her.
I don't think so.
She's like
Okay.
significantly younger. She's adorable and she knows everything about audio. And now she
Oh,
works
okay,
for
cool.
WPRI.
Oh, awesome. Good for her. That's great.
And she was straight out of like Johnson and Wales.
Nice.
She's just like super knowledgeable in what she does. But yeah, she was like, you should do every Monday. And we're like, should we?
The benefit on our end, not to cut you off, but the benefit on our end is we can batch.
Right.
We really don't do
Yeah.
scheduling. Like
Right.
We're just starting to dip our toe into guests. You know what I mean? But
Right.
if you're doing it and you have a different guest on, you do all the scheduling. That's
Right.
where it becomes like, you know,
Right.
don't overcommit. If you know what I mean. If you start with every other week just to get guests in,
Right.
batch some content.
Well, one of my ideas for like the batch part of it is to like, I don't know, I feel like I don't mean it in like, I don't want to say like a cocky way, but like I'm hoping that because of what I've done with my social media, that there's enough interest for people to want to just engage with me directly.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about trying to find short ways to do that. So one of my episodes might just be me taking live Q&A questions or letting people send in their remarks or asking my opinion on things. And, you know, we'll see.
Sure.
I love that.
I'm opening myself up to like a new opportunity, and I'm like a little bit nervous about it because, like I've mentioned to you, like I keep my life and who I am like private. Like it's often that people are like, "You don't have an accent." I'm like, I thought it was obvious. Like, I mean, like, do people kind of talk like that? Sure, but like, I really exaggerate. Like I put
Nick
Boston
talks like
accent words like on words that aren't really part of the Boston accent.
Sure,
They're like,
sure.
What the hell is that? I'm like, you know, for the humor of it, hopefully. But
I think it's funny.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but this is like I always relate everything back to Dom Mazzetti, but it's the same type of thing because
You love Dom Mazzetti.
I do love Dom Mazzetti.
great.
Love.
He's the OG.
He really is, but at some point he had that struggle too, where like he wanted to be seen as Mike, not
Right.
Dom.
Right.
And you're kind of going through that same thing.
Exactly.
Like, just you got to rip that Band-Aid off.
Well, you know, the part that's interesting for me was who I am is who I am on TikTok. My New England guy really lives the most on Instagram. And that's where people know my character the most because that's where most of my following is based locally here.
Right,
You know, but when I started TikTok, it was like I did friend skits,
Yeah.
I did office skits, I did acting POVs. So I have people who followed me for that because they used to duet every video. And then I got into thirst traps,
You mean when you
men's
go, like,
fashion. No, never me.
with a Viking uniform?
Yeah, and I love to cosplay.
No,
Like
it's
I'm like a
cool.
Marvel nerd. Like I love Viking stuff. I love The Witcher. Like so, I got all the sweet, cool ass cosplays and stuff. But like, you know, here's a perfect example, and I'm not going to name drop, but there was a local influencer who like we were mutuals for a bit, and I liked the content that individual was producing. I don't want to give genders away. But out of nowhere, a comment flew into my section that was about my cosplay. And it was like, how did you go from ranting in the snow to this garbage? And I was like,
no.
so like, but like, you know, and again, you know, I could ridicule and say some stuff about their content, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
road.
and I was like, you know what? Okay, fine. Like, you don't like it? That's cool. But that's like always been my fear, which is why I'll make like 8 TikToks, but only one of those makes it to my Instagram. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. So like if you go to like my Instagram
Yeah,
page,
that's
you'll see
true.
like my TikTok, you'll see like 5 other random placed videos.
Yeah.
I
Like-
didn't know that was like intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of did that, I guess, unintentionally as well, where TikTok was like my free for all. Like I kind of started that in 2020 and like didn't care who saw it because most of the time people from my high school weren't on it.
Right.
Like no one was really following me. They were all like random strangers. So that's when I did a lot of like the acting, like say like repeating lines from like different shows.
Right.
Or like I would do POVs. I would do other people who did POVs, but like I guess truthfully, none of those ever made it to my Instagram too. So that's fair.
So that's like the trial. TikTok is like the
Yeah.
trial run.
Right.
And then
Right.
if it makes the final cut, then it goes to Instagram.
And you can put anything on there.
Yeah, true. I feel like more recently I've like backed off of not Instagram, TikTok, and like made it so that it was a way of I've been like putting everything on both, but it's because I've kind of pulled back from doing like the things that I did like doing, which was the acting and the POVs and stuff like that. Because now I'm like, do I look stupid? But like that's just me just being like self-conscious and just being.
But TikTok's also pivoted because
Yeah.
it used to be that, and it used to be the social norm for everybody to do that, but it's
Yeah.
really not now. Like at this point, it's kind of become like, what's your niche? Stick with your niche. Original content.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like Instagram's been that
Right.
model for a while, right? You have to kind of stay in a lane.
Right.
Yeah, for the
TikTok
most
used to
part.
reward you for variety. It used to, be engaging for you to dip into other categories in different sections of the TikTok world.
Right.
And you could connect with a community that you'd never connected with before, where you always felt like, I don't know, no one around me really likes to do this, but I found a community of people who support it. And that part like used to be great, but it's like really not that anymore. And like, I think one of my biggest pet peeves is I cannot stand people who make content criticizing others. Like when people duet other people and then they mock them, it's very easy for me to agree, like, that was a ridiculous video. But just, like, scroll past. Yeah. And what bugs me even more is that these people are getting ridiculously famous. They're getting views and engagement, like, out the wazoo. And I'm like, I'm trying so hard to make genuine, fun content and just be me. So when that doesn't do well, that's when I get, like, the most disheartened. Because I'm just like, this guy's being a dick. Why are we rewarding that? Like, that's not...
It's like the reaction videos, too. Like,
that's what I mean.
I never understood, why do I give a shit about your reaction to whatever you're watching?
I always didn't like that.
That's like the YouTube generation.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Like, watching other people do things, I'm like...
Well, the video game thing, and I'm not a video game guy anyway, and so even more so, people watch people play video games.
Right.
Nick does.
Like,
I don't want to call him a YouTube kid, but that's like the thing.
That's so wild.
And you know, it's okay that I don't understand that. That's fine. Like if that's for you, that's fine. But I've never been okay with like the whole bullying thing. Even if I agree, like that was a ridiculous video, and maybe you're bullying. I'm also kind of like, you're making a good point but like. It's just not.
It's also mean.
And I can't stand that social media rewards that behavior. That's like my biggest bone to pick
it's like
with
it's like the troll stuff. Anytime you get a negative comment, and I've gotten them on YouTube and shit.
I know.
And but like when you go to their page, there's nothing.
There's never anything.
They don't post a thing. I've gotten roasted before on the YouTube stuff.
So Ian probably doesn't know this because you don't actively do it.
I haven't
but
in
like,
a while.
Joe used to like put up these rant videos about certain kinds of people. So he would be like the tattoo
That's
guy.
my annoyed video, but it wasn't about anybody specific. It was just like
you used to work
shit
in
that
like,
I would notice.
You used to work in like auto parts. So he would talk about like people who would come in to the auto parts store or like people who used to work there. Hilariously funny, and you don't do it enough, to be honest.
Because you know why I would write out everything. I would write
like
out the script.
He's
and
like you.
It became, I was trying to do it weekly, and it's impossible.
It is tough.
Like trying to write out the entire script and then film it, record it, and I'm obviously going to mess up the bloopers and whatnot, which is funny. But
the amount of takes I have is unreal.
Yeah.
It's like, it's never
Do you ever
perfect.
release your bloopers?
No, never. I delete those on the spot.
Really?
Yeah, I don't save anything.
Those are good to
if
save.
I don't get it perfect,
just
delete.
'cause.
It's like, it's terrible.
Is it because you don't want to break the fourth wall of like that character specifically?
I don't really know what it is. It's just more like, for me, like if I'm going to make a video, I go in with the target of making the video. And when I know I have to take, that's it. And I don't like save and say that one was good. I either know that's the one or I don't.
I have like 400 drafts. So you probably have nothing in your drafts.
No emails, no drafts, no unread text, like everything. I am like,
pristine.
I can't.
Wow.
Gotta.
Wow.
Stresses me out.
I like that, but
My
I started.
moral of the story is I need to be more like Ian.
I know that's the moral of the story. Yeah.
But just like to point out, like the fact that you were like doing that about like people annoyances and stuff.
Yeah.
There's like a proper way that you can express those things like that, where it's like, it's relatable. You dealt with like a moron at your store and everyone knows that. But in social media, when the moron posts a video and then you duet them and now that person's going to be subjected to everyone else who's going to be far worse than you with their word choice. And it's like, you know, people have feelings. It's like, we can't act like we've all said and done dumb stuff. Like I joke about like my thirst traps because like it works. Like I'm on romance covers. I don't see myself that way. I never have. I'm self-conscious as hell. But like it worked out, but like I know people make fun of me for that. So like it's like kind of like tough, but like it's like it just kind of is what it is. Like I know that it works, so like I try and embrace it and I try and do it. But it is like it's already embarrassing. So like if someone were to like duet me and be like, look at this guy's like face, I'm like, yeah, I know. Like you don't have to do that, and now you're gonna subject me to bullying, basically.
People are actually doing that?
Yeah, so they'll do it. So to give you an example, like 2 or 3 days ago, I was on TikTok and I was scrolling, and there was a family who was doing like, I don't know if you've ever seen these. I've gotten a few of them, but they're like, "Hi, my name is Camilla, and I'm gonna be your Mima," and it's like what are you gonna be in this like almost born baby? Like they'll do like baby shower or like gender reveal or whatever, or they'll be like, oh, I think you're going to be a boy and I'm your Mima.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then, like,
yeah, I love those. Those are so
they'll go down
cute.
to the next person and they'll be like, and I'm Joanne and I'm whatever. So like some of the ones that got on my feed were like people who were Southern. Some of them were,
I feel like I know exactly what video you're talking about already.
Teeth.
Yeah,
like some of them were
exactly.
missing
I've
teeth
seen
and
it.
whatever.
Yeah.
And people like duet it, and they'll literally like overemphasize the accent and like make them sound like awful.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, like
see, that's the thing. Like even writing the annoyed videos, it was always like supposed to be observational humor,
Right.
Versus the intent
It's
to
generalized.
attack somebody. If
Right.
I'm going to attack somebody, I'm going to do it to her face on this show, and that's usually
and
what
you
happens.
do. And you do.
But like for somebody you don't know, if you don't like somebody's content, then just keep
just,
scrolling.
Yeah.
And like there was this actually goes back to like the blocking thing. So there was an individual that I followed on social media for like a long time. There's actually been a few, and they kind of started doing a little bit like that. And again, it had nothing to do with the fact that they were on one side of the aisle or political, or but it's just like the way that they were doing it. I was like, I don't really know you personally, so I felt comfortable kind of unfollowing you.
Yeah.
You know, and like I know that there's always like that gray area where people are like, well, why did they unfollow me? What did I do? But I also don't want to I didn't go out of my way to be like, just so you know, your content sucks and I'm unfollowing you. It's just
Yeah.
like, hey, like
Right.
Not
your
for me.
content's changed.
Right.
That's okay. I wish you nothing but success. But for me, I don't want to consume this because it's taking up negative space in my mind, and I don't want that.
And it's also like if you leave a comment there that's negative, you could leave it there and not say anything, but then I feel like it gives other people the green light to keep going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I mean, the likes, the thread, like it turns into a whole thread. You can hit see more, and then there's just like a pile.
Do you ever
of
want to have humor? Like like Facebook as a cesspool. Like I never look on my Facebook ever, and my videos automatically post from Instagram.
Mine, dude.
I did not know that my Facebook was having maybe like a month ago I was like, oh my God, my videos do very well on Facebook. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's not like it's a public page, but I don't follow anyone. Like I have it because most of like the brands I work with, in order to post on Instagram, they have to access Facebook because it's all Meta.
Yeah.
Sure.
So like I had one, and then like the videos do like really well, and the comments are like but it's just, you want to talk about all my negative comments come from Facebook.
Really?
Most I would say 85% of negative comments that have ever, and I don't get a lot. I really don't. I'm very lucky and fortunate. And it's always the same shit. It's always, your accent sucks. I'm like, kick rocks, pal.
Yeah.
No one cares. Like either you don't have to like my content. Like
Sure.
I get it.
But but if you go to those people's pages, they have no profile picture.
On Facebook,
they posted.
they do.
Oh, really?
Oh, on
Because I
Facebook,
noticed
yeah.
on YouTube they got nothing. They haven't posted anything. They haven't made anything.
Right.
There's no subs. There's no picture. It's just anonymous.
Right.
I feel like whenever I do see something and they do have like a profile picture, it's someone who's like significantly older than me. Like they posted this one picture of like a diner food that they had in 2018, and that was kind of it. Like, like there's nothing else beyond that.
So it's like you just sit there and you troll people. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
While people are actually out there creating shit. You're watching the shit and not creating it. And then you're just sitting there making negative comments about
That was such a good full circle that you did. Usually I try to find a way to like, because we always
Loop it.
deter. So I try to find a way to like loop it back.
Yeah.
And you just looped it back so perfectly.
Oh, okay. That worked out well.
I don't think that was intentional, but you did great. And
Where
I
are we
couldn't,
at?
I
Oh.
couldn't think, yeah, we did great.
That's perfect timing.
That's what I mean.
Oh, wow. That went by so fast.
I know. It goes by really fast because we usually just
I feel like there's got to be
banter.
more questions. Let's not be done.
We do have
a fast five.
We do
Oh, okay,
have
yeah,
our
the
fast
fast
five for
five.
you.
I can't promise it'll be fast. I'm sure you guys have
That's
picked
fine.
up. I like to talk
That's fine.
and ramble.
It literally, that's the whole point of like where this kind of stemmed from, which was like, I'm the more Pollyanna. I'm like the glass half full. I'm like the rose colored glasses. And like, I'll give the bright side to things, kind of like what you kind of subbed in for me with being like, well, in regards to blocking, like I try to see where they're coming from, like initial reaction, but like after like I try to understand it, versus him, he just like goes down a really deep and dark path of just being super negative black hole. Like
I was just, when we talk about YouTube comments, the reel that just posted, it
Yeah.
was something where, I was clowning you for
what?
dressing up at the movies.
Oh,
and somebody
I like to cosplay too.
But
so
somebody
like,
wrote back to me, God damn, let her live her life.
yeah, let me live my life.
I was like, no.
Jeez.
All right, fast five. Love that, hate that.
Okay.
Parents on social media.
Hate that.
Posting your personal life.
Hate that.
Instagram accounts for pets.
Ooh, no comment. No comment. because I love looking at videos of dogs. I think it's really cute. But then when they don't have their own personal account, I'm kind of like.
So like if somebody has a pet and it's like Rudy the goldfish.
Yeah.
He has Phoebe.
Oh, all right. So
I post my dog a lot, but only on my stories. And people say, "Where's her own page?" I'm like, okay.
Phoebe the wiener
all
dog.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
So no comment.
So that's why I'm kind of like, I'm like in between. I'm like, I get it.
Sure.
And I can totally see the appeal for individuals who gravitate towards animals more because they've had bad experiences with humans and they'd rather follow really cute dogs and just look at happy things.
Sure.
So like, I'm all about it.
Sure.
Ian starts a page tomorrow.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
his dog.
I don't. The back end of that is what is like where I kind of feel like a gray area, like the individuals who like run the entire stuff. But jokes on me, like there's pages with like millions, and those people are like, I don't have to post my face. It's my dog, and I'm a millionaire. So
my dog
who's
pays
really,
the rent.
they're laughing their way to the bank. So you know what? Love that.
Just convinced himself
Yeah, I
into
just
it.
changed it. See, you got to think it out loud.
See, it wasn't a fast five. That was a slow one.
Yeah.
Fake Instagram accounts.
Oh, hate that.
Hate that. Okay.
Vince does.
Yeah.
Easy. This is an easy one. This is your last layup.
This was my last one.
Okay.
Duncan.
Love it.
Love that. Hate that. Love
Cheers.
that.
Love it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
He already had
I
his
had
Dunkin'.
mine earlier.
He gets a black iced coffee with a shot of espresso
Yep. Easy.
every time. And now I know your order.
Yes.
I'll surprise you whenever you want.
Oh, fantastic. You're the best.
Do you have a premiere date for first episode of the podcast, or is
I
it still
don't know.
TBD?
So I have my trial run next week where I'm going to go in, test the audio, record, see what I like, what I don't like, and yeah, who knows? Maybe something funny will come out of that, and I'll have some clips to just like launch it that way. But I think I'm going to do like my intro video.
Okay.
That'll be the one that I open up all my videos with, and then from there I'll probably kind of just get the ball rolling.
Perfect.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Make sure you follow at Ian Brownhill.
Just
right?
Ian Brownhill. Yep.
That's it. On Instagram, on TikTok,
Twitter.
X,
Or yeah,
X,
Facebook.
and then Facebook, and then it's not going to be your YouTube. You're going to.
It is on you. Yeah, I have a
Okay.
YouTube. I do have a
Okay.
YouTube for Ian Brownhill, and then I also just started the YouTube for So New England Podcast.
Perfect.
Is
So
that
it'll be
going to
on-
be its own Instagram page
Yep.
too? Okay.
On Instagram page is launched as well, so it's all going to be on all the platforms
I'll
for
be sure
listening
to
and
follow
watching.
it right
Awesome.
now.
Cool.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank you
for hanging
guys.
out.
I don't have the gavel this
I
time.
know he usually has a gavel.
You're right. I've seen
Just
it.
okay.
But I love that for me. Do you love that for you?
I love that for me.
I love that for you.
I hate it for me, but I love it for everybody else.
Okay, sick. Bye, guys.